What do you think are some of the top things parents struggle with?
The top things.
Sibling
I struggle
rivalry and
with
fighting. among
Sibling
siblings.
rivalry, I would say, because looking at our families now, some of them are older and have left the home, but most of them are at home. And sibling rivalry, for sure, is huge.
Entitlement. Kids who are entitled, and it happens on every level, believe me. I mean, even kids who are in very poor families, they're almost entitled by the welfare they get. And then on the higher end, remember that speech we gave in Abu Dhabi, and these two kids, you've all seen kids. My dad has a cooler car than you. These two kids were comparing their dad's yachts. My dad has a yacht with a helicopter pad on. Yours doesn't. I mean, it happens at every level, and this entitlement carries over to the kids, and it is a trap. So I'd say the fighting and bickering, the entitlement, certainly the disrespect. We live in an age of enormous disrespect, and kids just pick it up from their peer culture.
I think you went over that pretty fast. I mean, if somebody, you say, Thomas, would you come and take this garbage out? I've asked you several times, would you come and do it? Why do you always ask me? I'm in the middle of a TV show. You always ask me. Ask somebody else. Like, what you say to that is, let's start over. I mean, you set this up in a family meeting. Like, if something is appropriate, we're going to say these words. Let's start over. And then they do a little bit better. Well, okay, could you just wait until? No, let's start over. Yes, Mom, I'd be glad to do that if you'll just wait till I finish this thing. And so, but you have to be more respectful too. Like, this is the 15th time I've asked you to do this. It really is important that they know how to do that, to start over. And I think disrespect is getting huge. I mean, I hear kids talk to parents in ways that are astonishing to me because they didn't stop them right when they were like babies.
The way you asked that question, Shawn, really made me think of something that I want to emphasize. You phrased it in the sense of what are the biggest problems parents have with little kids, and that is the typical, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's the typical way to think about it. And it leads you to say, okay, I've identified these problems. Now I've got to find these solutions. But another way to think about it is these are not problems you have to find a solution for. They are things that exist because you didn't set up a system that would prevent them. So, for example, let's take the ones we just mentioned, the kids entitled. That's a problem, but another way to look at it is that's the result of the fact that we didn't have a family economy that allowed them to do their own thing and get rewarded for it. Or you've got the sibling rivalry and the bickering. Yeah, that think of it as a problem, or think of it, that's what happens because we didn't yet have a set of clear family laws. So think of things not as some unknown problem no one else has ever had. Think of something as we're going to prevent that from happening in the future by setting up systems that will prevent it to some degree. That's the offense.
Well, this makes it sound kind of easy too.
Yeah, let's not do that.
I have to say, we certainly didn't do everything right, and we had so many crazy things.
Our kids don't, and our students don't.
I called home once when we were on trips, and I didn't like to talk to the babysitter very much when we were gone because I didn't want to know if anything was wrong. But I happened to overhear the conversation this time, and so Richard called the babysitter, and she said, and we had book tours, and so we were gone like 5 days, and we come home 10 days in 5 days. And the kids were fine as long as we had a couple with a baby. If they had a baby, they were fine, and sugar-coated cereal. And so then they were fine if we left. But anyway, so we called home, and I heard the babysitter say, well, right at the moment it's kind of hard because Sarah just hit Shawnee over the head with a frying pan, and Charity is stuck in the bathroom, and she's 3. And she has lipstick all over her hands, and she's locked the door, and she can't open the door, and I can't open the door. I don't know how to get in. I'm like, don't tell me that.
Yeah.
But, there are just really tough things, just like, oh, my goodness. I mean, we've had kids do some crazy stuff. And I'm sure that your listeners have. You've grown up with that. There's no perfect way to do this. And if your kids are still fighting, if you settle this up, there is nothing wrong with you. Yeah. It's just the way it is. But having this set up so that you have a system that fits into fits into. Just don't expect perfection, but it is so helpful. Our kids are all doing this their own way with their own kids now, and it really has been a good system, basic.